Hello, David. Hello, David. Hello, David.
Hello, Tisha. It's so good to see
How are you,
you.
my love muffin?
Ah,
Welcome to
I
episode 8, David.
8 of these in the books already?
Yes, we are
Oh, we
on. I
doing
had to
all
go back
right.
and double check to make sure. We are on episode number 8, and we have some really special guests today. I love when we have guests because we get an opportunity to explore things with different topics and different things that people are doing in the communities that they're in. So it's really, really fun to be
Oh yeah,
able to talk to other people.
most definitely.
So I just want to make sure you're all good. We're all good. Let me put our whoop de whoops on there. Episode 8,
Whoop
we
de
are going to
doo.
be pouring into our youth. So,
All
with no
right.
further ado, let's do what we do. Today, our special guests, we have two, um, Coach Winston and Lionel Johnson. We are going to allow you guys to do your own introductions. Whoever would like to go first, kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do as far as your commitment to the community.
You go, Michael. I wasn't prepared for that.
Lionel.
Lionel, my name is Lionel Johnson. I'm the founder of Foundations of Love, based out of California, where we help kids and families that are in transition and giving them a place to go during the good times and bad. So we help kids with extracurricular activities by sponsoring them in sports or the arts, and we help single mothers be self-sufficient and transition into their new lives.
And how long have you had this organization?
I've been a nonprofit since 2014. I started
Wow.
out just taking kids to sporting events. I would get a bus, take them to the games. I would work with the kids that at my church that didn't have fathers in the homes. So I would take them. Then I worked at a group home. I would take them the next week. And then I ended up taking the men from my church to games and found out that they had never been before. So it was just about giving people a place to go through the tough time when they're going through tough times, and then showing support for our youth and helping them with their extracurricular activities outside of school. So
Wow. You Coach Winston's like, I still ain't prepared.
No, I'm ready. No, I'm good. No,
No,
I'm ready.
I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you.
oh yeah, I could try to go on.
Oh no, no, no. So I'm an executive director of a nonprofit called Kick Ministries. Kick Ministries stands for Kansas City Inner City Kids, and we're based out of KCK, but we work in the metropolitan area. So what we do, we use basketball as an outreach opportunity to build relationships with young people. So we use it's faith based. So one way I try to explain to anybody that's been in church, right? So the gym is like my church. The court is the sanctuary. Our basketball teams, our
Mm,
youth groups, my training is like Bible study. Our open gyms is like fellowship. That's it. It all works in the
relatability.
same way. It provides,
Relatability.
yeah, it provides.
You broke up there, man.
Kind of froze a little bit.
Lost a mid thought.
Mm.
Right. And it would sound like it was about to be a good
It's
thought
about to
too.
be good. It's about to be good. We lost your mid thought right there. You just
That's embarrassing. Um,
Wait, David made it worse than what it was.
no, it
um,
was just like that. Trust
It
me.
was
I bet it was. I'm so animated. It's bad. But yeah, we just use basketball as an opportunity to do outreach. And we just build character, community, and culture in young people in the inner city.
what amazing things that you both are doing, especially in this day and age, in this temperature. Um, just being able to give back because it's 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 super critical right now, especially for our inner city youth, our minority youth that may not have resources available to them. Is very critical because otherwise sometimes they just get lost in the sauce. I got an opportunity to sit down with you both actually. I spent more time with Lionel, obviously, but I did get an opportunity to talk to you as well. And I just really love what you guys are doing and the focus and commitment to the youth um, that you guys are really trying to do in each of your communities. Because obviously you're here in Kansas City, Kansas, and Lionel's in California. Um, Do you guys have? I know you have the kick program, Lionel. You have the
Unity Sport
foundation.
Access.
Yes. Are you guys adding extra? I know David said he had some questions, but he looks busy. So, do you guys have extra like side foundations or what do you call them? I don't want to say like
Programs.
offsprings, like other programs that play into like what you do. I know, Lionel, we talked about your wife's
Yeah,
program and how it kind of helps.
right. My Foundations of Love is our 501c3, but our program is Unity Sports Access, where we supply sports equipment for the kids. We sponsor kids that can't afford to play sports. And then we have another program called Living Beyond Walls to help single mothers become self-sufficient, to provide them with self-care. Also, like when they're going through hard times, to give them a spa day or gift cards, help out with food. We do things like that.
Okay.
Mm. So you go beyond just the sports
Right. Yeah, we're both
assistance, and
taking
that's what
on
he's.
everything that, like, because sports is my passion.
Yeah.
And then my wife was a single mother when I met her. So she's taken on everything that she went through to help a single mother.
Mm.
Mm.
So, and we put that all into that forms Foundations of Love.
So what's up? That's what's
And
up.
just finding
But
just
both, but
powerful
both
ways to
programs
impact.
work on their own. Yeah. So
That's and I know that Coach Winston, I know that you had mentioned, especially when we talked on the phone, that you and you just said it here now, your program is sports geared, but the relatability part is you're coming to a level of the youth that's something that they like, and you're incorporating something else into that to help feed them, their mind and their soul, and their pour into them in a very unique way. To be honest, I've never heard anybody use the analogies that you just did to say, this is the sanctuary, this is our fellowship, this is our Bible study. And how do you feel like that unique style is helping the youth be more comfortable and really absorbing what you're trying to teach them?
Because it comes from a place of just mentorship, right? I think just working with the Boys and Girls Club and part of Boys and Girls Club my whole life, I see value in what it means to be a mentor. So my faith, of course, discipleship is very important, but discipleship looks very different when in urban community inner cities because it's disheartening, right? To walk alongside young people for a long period of time, you're going to watch them make some real choices or some bad choices along the way. One thing I've learned is the game of basketball is the one place that you can gather young people, old people, people of all colors, and there's no barrier. And a lot of times it's not the game. You'll be surprised at conversations you have on the sideline, conversations you have at the water fountain, conversations you have in a parking lot afterward. So really, when you think about the motto of church or the motto of any type of mission, it's all about building relationships. So for me, the game just allows me an easy way to access the people. And, anytime we're trying to teach anything, just the way you teach it. So we talk about our faith. I know people's guards go up when you throw out a scripture or a number or anything that sounds threatening. But, just as Jesus spoke, I speak common. So a lot of stuff, when I'm giving them game, they don't know I'm preaching to them. They don't know I'm giving them a sermon. They don't know what I'm talking about. They think I'm just talking to them as an old man to a degree. But for me, I know like my job is to tell and show and also show them things that they haven't seen. So in our community, you don't get a lot of positive Black role models. So even if that's on a basketball court, outside of the basketball court, when they see me in a grocery store, when they see me driving around at any time, I realize I'm a model to them, but I try to make sure that space is like theirs. Because what happens is a lot of young people, young men, they lose that safety, right? The game is safe for them. It's the one place they can be vulnerable. They have friends, it's structure, and you remove that from their lives. And then they have to find it or they try to build it. And unfortunately, in our society, in our culture, our guys are going to find somebody to hang with. And unfortunately, our guys find the wrong thing. So the game offers the opportunity and me the opportunity to be in front of them, and their guard is down. I play basketball with them just to like break barriers. I'm not playing for myself. I know like as I play, they're going to build a relationship. So in that, it's just mentorship and discipling. So I have long-standing relationship with a lot of guys because we've been playing ball together for almost 8-9 years now. So of course they started as
it's cool that you bring that up. That you invested a lot of time in a lot of these kids with the Boys and Girls Club, and with Kick, you basically followed them, as they progress through middle school, high school, and some in college now.
Yeah,
And a big event example of that would be what Deion Sanders has done. The same
yeah,
thing, is this, taking kids from Pee Wee and following them all the way through. And it takes that discipleship and that dedication, and having somebody that have patience like that makes that big difference. It brings out the best in those children. And it takes people like you and Lionel doing that. And I think it's what the community is lacking, that, we don't have anybody that's stepping in the gap for these kids, because I've seen, firsthand what goes on in the Boys and Girls Club, how many different children come in there, how many broken children come in there, and they just need that person that be consistent and patient with them, and they will turn around. I mean, it's so many different stories that come from it. I mean, from Independence to in Thornbury in the inner city, KCK. I mean, each one of those kids, once they had that person step in, it was crazy to see how much they grew and how much they expand their horizons because of people like you two. So,
Right.
is there something that you could say, you know, personal story, just like each one of you, just a personal story of how you affected a child and how important it is for people to be in their lives?
Mm. I
You
say
can
when I
go with some.
first started, when I was a youth leader at my old church, one of my girls, she wanted to go to cheerleading camp, and she was in a single parent household, and she was supposed to go to camp, but her mom couldn't afford it. So that was like right at the time I was starting my program, and so I sponsored her because she was going to quit cheerleading if she didn't go to the camp, and so we sponsored her. She went to the camp, came back to captain
Mm.
of the cheerleading team, and it was something that she could use on her college applications, and that just let me know right then and there that I was in the right place, at the right time to support her, and that was the biggest thing for me. That I know that I was there to support someone that needed it. Um,
And
yeah,
imagine how many lives you've touched since then, and
yeah,
before you actually began the program, because you said 2014 is when you actually launched just the program officially. So that's
right.
9 years.
yeah,
Uh,
Yeah, but I was just
I'm
doing
sure.
the sports. I was just getting a van and taking the kids to the games. I really didn't know my niche until the pandemic came.
yeah,
We had my goddaughter in 2015. After God told me don't coach anymore, in 2012. In 2015, my goddaughter's coach just dropped her whole team. So I grabbed coaches that I knew, and we started a basketball program. But it was out of order. It didn't work. But I did it just to give the kids a chance, an opportunity. And I had to go
Mm,
back in 2020 to go over everything all over again and find my niche. And I had to remember that it was about supporting the kids
Mm.
and not worrying about coaching. And people look at me like, you have a team, you want to coach? No, I'm not supposed to. It's about supporting and the kids and supporting the coaches in the community to be there for them too.
that's a
Man.
very powerful statement that you just made, saying that after God told you not to coach, you still stepped out to try to do something. It didn't work out, but you went back and reevaluated what needed to be assessed for it to be fruitful and your position. A lot of people don't understand that, and the reason why I feel like that's powerful is because a lot of people either you're sending a powerful message not only to the youth that were involved or around you during that time, but also to other people who should step into roles. Sometimes our pride and egos and I can do this, or I should be doing this, and we're not paying attention to what actually we should be doing and what position we should be playing, because a lot of times people they overwhelm themselves with work and side activities, trying to coach and trying to do this, or they don't have the patience, or their calling is in a different position and they just don't pay attention to that. So that
Yeah.
sent two separate messages. One to people to say, hey, do what it is that your strength is and understand your strength and your position and execute it flawlessly. And two, for the kids, if you failed, that's okay. Go back, reassess what worked, and move on from there and do what you need to do. So that that whole statement to me just seems very powerful and a lesson for other people to observe as they were involved in that situation with you.
Man, that is true. That's so true. I just want to say what's up to the chat. Steve McCribbin, he's a barber up here in North Kansas City, and Andre Harris, he does a program DACA. I just want to say what's up to them because they do get active in the community. So it's always good to have fellow brothers that are showing up and supporting on this
Right.
topic this evening. Winston, what's up, man?
Come on, coach.
You've
Put
been in
me
the
in the
trench.
game, coach.
You've been in the trenches, man.
Tell us
I
a good
can't.
story of
You muted yourself.
he go unmute himself and man, he's laughing. Coach, you gotta unmute yourself. Okay.
I got him.
No, I'm a false. I've been in the gym. I just left the gym. I've been playing ball. I'm old. I'm tired. I'm worn out. No, I would
That's all
say
right.
I think when you work with kids, there are 1,000 stories. You know what I mean? It's almost a story
Yeah.
every day.
Mhm.
But I'll say probably the most when you feel really good, I think as a coach or as a person, when somebody meets a kid that's attached to you and they're like, oh yeah, man, that's a really good kid, man. They spoke really highly. I think
Mm.
to me, that's the product because it ain't about just you as a person. And I tell them all the time, like, I love that y'all athletes, but y'all gonna be men way longer than you're gonna be an athlete. But like what
Oh yeah.
matters to me is what people say about you and your character, what people
Mhm.
say about you off the court. And for me, when I hear people say good things about not what they're doing, just who they are, and I tell them that's the most important thing. Like, we're trying to make you a better person. So anytime I get a compliment about a kid, about their character, about their grades, about their behavior, about community service, that means everything. The basketball thing is good, like whatever. But you as a man, you as a young person means everything. So hearing that after games, hearing that at the end of the year, hearing that from a parent, I think that does something that just rejuvenates you every single time because you realize you're doing something good. Because with
Right.
Yeah.
kids, you kind of forget.
Mhm.
And that goes both ways. I know that you and David worked in the youth program together. But Lionel and I are actually cousins, and we were raised in a family to where there was a lot of mentorship. Like there's a lot of strength in our family. My grandfather was the oldest male, and I think Lionel's father was a couple
In the
kids
middle.
under my grandfather. When I tell you it was like a yes sir, no sir, respect for your elders type thing, my grandfather was strict. And so I remember in my 30s, I had went to the golf course because everybody in our family golf. I had went to the golf course because my dad and my grandfather were up there, and there was a gentleman there, and he had said something to me, and I was like, "No, sir, yes, sir." And he looked at my grandfather, and he was like, "Wow, your adult grandchildren are that respectful." And the smile on his face when we were walking out, he was like, "I'm so proud of you. I'm glad that you're showing something because I was devilish." Some of us have these really large personalities, but he was like that. I will never forget that because he was so happy and so proud of me. And there was, whenever he was happy about the accomplishments, he never went away from being like, yeah, he would hear me sing or record in the studio and he'd be like, oh my God, you need to keep doing this. Like he was so supportive and encouraging, and that helped. But that's how our family is. Like everybody was supportive and encouraging, and it helped. It helped keep, we all test the waters as youth, period, and young adults. We don't understand, but it helped guide many of us and stay on the right path. So that's how I knew that it was like this was an important topic because it's super important. You don't understand the impact that both of you have, and even the guys that are in the chat, your influence, just one simple moment can change the entire course of someone's
Yeah.
life and
Yep.
perspective.
Yep.
Like, dang,
Yep.
Coach Winston's proud of me. Mr. Johnson is proud of me. I don't want to disappoint him, so I'm going to make good decisions. I'm going to try my best. I'm going to pay attention to God, because both of you utilize your faith to help mentor these kids in unique ways.
See,
Both
the
of
one.
you,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
David.
I was gonna say
No, go ahead.
one of the things about these programs is these communities are underserved, and
Mhm.
a lot of these children, they never experience someone showing them love or showing them encouragement. I remember one program we did with Ma'am, and it was crazy because the kids had did like a talent show, so we were all out there, and one girl, she was trying to sing, she was trying to sing, and she has a beautiful voice, but she was so shy.
Mm.
And her parents showed up, and the crazy thing about it is they just started like heckling her, like, you don't need to sing, you don't need to do that, you don't need to get up there and
The
do that.
parents did.
The parents did.
Her
This
parents.
her parents did.
Mhm.
So she came off the stage and walked over to the corner, and all the kids back there just rallied around her, like, you could do this, you got this, you got this, we can start it over, we'll go to the next one and you come back, you got to do yours, we did ours, you got to do yours. And that was the thing that pushed her out there, and she did it. And it was rough for her, but she got it done. And all the time we spent each Tuesday and Thursday when we go out there and we would run through all these different practices and stuff like that, the kids would just sit up there. We would root them on like, oh, you did an awesome job. And then they started saying it to each other, oh, you did an awesome job. And it just spilt over,
Mhm.
and it just kept rolling. Like a lot of the kids from Independence now, they ended up, Winston, you could tell me, how many boys and girls clubs are there in the nation, man?
I don't know about that. A lot.
A
He
lot.
was like,
A
"Don't
lot.
put me on this."
I'm just saying, you might remember. I don't know, man. You ran a unit. I don't know.
A whole
But
lot.
but the thing about it is, they had this one deal, a whole contest where they went against all of the units to actually have a performance. They had the kids write a rap, a cipher, and it was about Sprite. And then they turned around and put the video on YouTube, and people had to vote for it. And our kids from our unit ended up going to Atlanta because of that. They ended up winning it. So those kids, those same kids, are still together making music to this day. They have their own record label. They make their own beats. They write their own music. They make their own videos. They still do that. And we did that like 7 years ago.
Yep.
And they still doing it.
And
I seen
look
one of the kids.
how that touched them in such a way, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I seen one of the
It
kids
it
at
it, it Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I seen one of the kids at a bar. He was on a date. I was down there playing pool, and he's like, "Is that you, Mr. Porter?" I had short hair then. Is that you, Mr. Porter? I'm like, yeah, it's me. What's up, man? He said, nothing, man. Just out here. He had his little girl with him and stuff like that. We get something to eat, chilling, having a good time. So you been all right? He said, yeah, man. Hey, we gotta get together, make some more beats, man. He's still at it, man.
So
It's a beautiful thing.
and I think that just goes into just pouring into these kids and how much it will influence them. Like Mike said, the power of positive reinforcement and engagement is amazing. But going back to, obviously you both have dealt with youth for a while in your own unique ways. If you have parents that are involved that may not be positive reinforcements or helpful, or detached or whatever the case may be, how do you guys deal with that and still try to plant your seed, positive seeds into these children?
I'll take this one. You didn't talk to. You didn't get the first one. I guess I'll take this one first. That's hard. I think I deal with a population that's usually has absentee family, like parents. Most young men around 14, 15, 16 are considered grown. So most parents, I don't really get to see much parental involvement. And it's usually similar, honestly. It's usually the same thing. So one thing, one thing I think I understand, I accept is, like you said, every day I have an opportunity to make or break something with a young person. So I just can value the time I have with them because their circumstances are their circumstances. I can't compete with their environment. Like when they leave me, they got to go home, they got to sleep in the bed, they got to have communicate with people they live with. Like these are people they're going to be
Right.
around for the next 10 hours. Then I'm going to see them maybe 12 hours. You know what I mean? So it's not, I understand my impact, but I also understand if I'm consistent, I can be the small voice in their ear. I can't really rely on their environment because they're with me to a degree because of their environment. And a lot of times, most parents trust me in a way that they just almost give their child over. Like they'll call me when they need something about their kid, which I don't look upon like as wrong. I think some people just know how to handle young men,
Mhm.
especially when their fathers aren't around. Sometimes
Right.
they don't listen to nobody else, and I get that. So I
Mhm.
think for me, I try to be extra sensitive to the parents, extra sensitive to each situation, because every kid without a father, without a other mother, whatever, it's all different. It might look different, but they all have different traumas. So I think for me, it's just handling each situation differently, but being sensitive to each kid, because even parent involvement can be tricky. Some parents are too
Yeah.
involved. You know what I mean? So it's like
That's me.
every parent is a little bit different.
I'm too involved, my son. But I try to make him coachable. So, but I'm always like, you need some water? Come here. Let me tie your shoe.
You be interfering.
No,
It's like,
I
oh,
don't. I
we
don't.
try.
I
We,
don't. Mike play sports. I don't interfere. I don't try to coach him. That's his daddy with football. Mike only tries to interfere during football. But other than that, he tries to like step back and let the coach do his thing. But sometimes he'll no get down there, get your he'll coach him. But me, I'm the sideline mom. Come here, let me put some sunscreen on you. You need some water.
interfering.
Yeah, that's
Interfering. Let him get out there and taste that
Don't run
sun.
on the field when he gets hurt.
Yeah.
Lionel.
Yeah. Wait.
You know how he is. He's like little John and all over.
Shoot.
Go ahead,
Go
Lionel. I
ahead.
want to know what yours because you actually take which I don't know if you do
Well,
Christmas, which might be good, but
when I reevaluated everything after that basketball program, I just network with the coaches now. I learned my lesson when we had the basketball team. It was hard.
I don't
Yeah.
want to interrupt you,
Yeah.
but I want to know, like, how long did it take you to come to the realization that this was not my lane?
The first couple of months, we did it for a year.
Oh man, you did it for a whole year after
He kept
a couple
pushing.
It
months.
was just hard. Yeah, we were trying. We tried everything.
Gotcha.
Trust me, relationships were lost in that.
So you didn't see any growth at all during that
we
season.
tried, no,
Gotcha.
no growth. There were some relationships that I still have, but that was that was a big lesson that I learned. Yeah, but I just realized that. But I did take away that the girls had their issues. Like fathers had just left the home. They were abandoned. Yeah, just a lot of things going on with the girls that myself and the coaches didn't know how to handle. And the parents want them to play, but we were looking at what was going on with the kids.
Yeah.
Right.
And we couldn't fix it. We can't fix it. So you just try to support them at the time, but it was it was hard.
Got you.
It was a
And
hard
you have
job.
more of a supportive position now, just backing
Right.
up the
Yeah,
coaches
that's
and
when I
giving them.
reevaluated everything. I took some time off, reevaluated everything to just be a support to the coaches and try to teach them how to talk to the kids and even build the coaches up because they're going through a hard time. Because everybody's going after the coach. Like, I want my kid to play. I want my kid to be here, do this, do that. And the coaches is also forgotten.
See, it's
I
something
don't
that
do
I'm
that,
hearing.
David.
I'm hearing both of y'all say the same thing, that these children are suffering from traumas, and this trying to figure out how to meet each one of these kids needs. And I mean, it takes a special person to be able to point that out, for one, and notice it, and two, to be able to come to them and give them relief in certain areas. I mean, I know you can't fix it all. I mean, there's not enough money, there's not enough time for just one person to step into each one of these children's lives. But to be able to see that and then foster something, out of nothing, says a lot about who you are. So my question to both of you then is, when you're pouring out to all these different individuals, how do you get refilled? Because you can't pour out what you don't got. So what do you do to kind of get yourself rejuvenated and get your mind back right? Because I know sometimes these situations kind of mess you up when you leave.
I have a routine. I have a self-care routine, like for real. In the mornings, like I spend about an hour and a half, 2 hours in worship and meditation, because I know, like, one thing in this work, you can check the news and it throw your whole day off, right? You can talk to a parent, it throw your whole day off. Like, you just don't know what's going to happen. So I get up early and I get my mind right and kind of get myself together. And then in the evenings, I do the same thing. I kind of come home, I shut off, and I'm silent for about an hour and a half, process my day, meditate, and kind of let go of the things. One thing I've learned is that you got to let it go. And I think that's what you learn during the time of doing youth work, is like, you really can't take this thing home with you. It'll kill you. Like, it'll kill a marriage, it'll kill relationships. Like, you got to know when, like, these kids will be okay in the morning. And it's hard to say that, but you have to live on it, because you're not Superman and you ain't God. Like, God don't go to sleep, you can. And I got to know that, like, I can go to sleep for 12 hours and they're going to be okay. I don't have to be on duty 24 hours because it's impossible.
Right.
But I try to take care of myself, and knowing I'm just a person. I don't think more of myself. I don't put pressure on myself. I put more pressure on my interactions than who I am. So I make sure I'm staying connected to God and keep it moment to moment, because my interactions are moment to moment. So I got to stay in those moments. I can't be really moving forward or fast throughout my days, because I might miss something. So for me, it's like saying ever present in the mornings and even in the evening, kind of to myself.
Oh man, you
I
said
need to
a
start
mouthful
doing
right
that.
there.
Right. But he's absolutely right, because
Yeah.
I meditate. Like, I had to find. I mean, I talk about it on our podcast plenty of times. Like, I've been in a really different space than what I've been used to, and I have to take the time in the morning and meditate. And sometimes I just have to, like, sit in the dark at night. But I think I should start meditating at night too, to kind of. But it helps me. People think I'm crazy when I say that. I'm just like, I go through these morning affirmations with myself. I meditate. Ephesians 6:11 is one of my favorite scriptures. It's been that way since I was a little kid, and it was the first scripture I ever memorized. But it helps me so much, because it helps me to battle a lot of the things that I have to battle, and it's important. I'm realizing as an adult how important it is to really meditate and unwind. And I remember our pastor saying that once, that you cannot pour into other people if you don't have anything left in your cup. And you have to go through your selfish seasons to be able to do what you do.
Yeah.
You really do.
Mr. Johnson, how about yourself, man? What do
Yes.
you do to refresh, renew, restart?
I take everything that he just said, because sometimes I forget to go back to the word. Sometimes I try to do things on my own. Yeah, I especially, I know Tish knows, this last year has been rough.
Yeah.
And working on your own nonprofit and going through your own trauma, your own loss with family. Sometimes, you can find yourself in a dark place, but you don't know how to get out of it. And but that self-care, is really important for me. And I'm trying to treat myself to do other things to make myself happy, because I am giving. I'll give my last dollar to somebody else, but it is time for me to take care of myself better.
Yeah. And you are one of the sweetest people in our family too. So I've always wondered how how you do your self-care, because you are like the
And
complete polar opposite of so many of us.
well, that's my biggest thing was when I'm going through something, for me to get out of it is to help somebody else.
Ooh,
Man,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
See,
I was told that that's rare, but for me to get out
See,
of my funk, I have to go help somebody else. I can't just sit.
my pastor told me something. What he said, you got to be able to lead while bleeding.
Mm.
And sometimes, you'll be hurt, you'll be injured, you might be bruised and battered, but that time of you giving and that time you sowing seeds for you to go ahead and reap later on.
Mhm.
So you'll be able to have a bountiful harvest of peace, ease of mind, because you know that you stay busy, you stay working. As the old people say, make hay while the sun is up.
Mhm.
So you just go ahead, keep making hay. You go out there and make that change. Be the change in the world you want to see, and you'll
Mm.
be amazed at what'll happen when you turn around and sit down. You're like, well, I'm done now. And you got all these kids standing in front of you saying, you know what you did for me. I remember, you know.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
And I
those
think
helps
those
what a lot of
motivate.
people, some people don't realize in youth work, as much as the kids will sit in front of us, I think Mike would agree. Like kids don't know how much they changed us. Like they help us. Like them fighting through stuff makes our problems not as big. Like Mike saying, like when I see a kid overcome something, when I'm complaining about a bill and he's overcoming life, I'm like, oh yeah, nah, I'm cool. Like that's just money. Like you got some real stuff going on.
Go
So
ahead,
when you deal in the
BPU,
life of
take that.
you know that stuff is it's not that bad, right?
right.
When you work in community work, you start to realize, like, you know what they really going through. The
Yep.
part that I know I go through is when you burn out, and that's why self-care has to be day to day. Because in these seasons, you can't afford to have a burnout season when
No,
you're in service. You can't.
no,
Because when you burn out, when people depend on you, you can't just disappear. And
no.
that's what I've learned is you have to be consistently good to yourself just as much as you're good to other people. And like people love you for what you give, but you should love yourself for what you have. So everything you give people, you gotta cherish yourself. And I think people in service, we don't do that because we're almost prone to give everything away. And God, He said, your cup, I will make your cup full, meaning I will give you all these things. And we have to be better on how we pour those things out. I think we
Man,
have abundance and we just think we're gonna pour in abundance. And then God don't refill him like, well, I thought I had more. I'm like, nah, I filled your cup. That's it. Like whatever you do with that, that's on you. I ain't gonna I'm not gonna keep that thing full sometimes. Sometimes I might give you enough for a year, but don't go pouring that thing out. And I'm learning to maintain this. You just have day to day, man. New mercies is real, even in yourself. You have to learn how to take care and forgive yourself every day because it's hard.
Ooh.
see,
Ooh.
the
Y'all
one
out
thing
here
that
preaching and don't even know
I'm
it.
I'm loving this because of the earnesty and then the openness to be honest with everybody on this, because just like you said, you're just a human being. It's like you're not Superman, and bound to make mistakes down the line. It happens, But in these times where you have people depending on you, it's good to even say that, hey man, I have times where I'm low, because then they look at you like, oh, you get sad too, because your personality, man, you're very, very outgoing, bubbly. You smile on your face and you're ready to go, and it's hard to see you down. But me and you, we've been there before. We know. It's times where it's like I'm gonna shut the shop down. Turn the sign off, and I'm just gonna see what I need to do. I'm gonna lick my wounds, and don't bother me right now. But just like Lionel said, hey, you get to the point where having those low times and not coming out and isolating yourself is doing yourself an injustice and those around you. When people hear the story that you were still out there in the trenches, even though you weren't at 100%, you weren't at 50%, it shows a lot about your character. And then it's contagious for everybody else because they look at you like, if he could do it, I could do it. And then it starts snowballing down to everybody else around you. Because, man, all the times we used to outreach and do all that stuff, and I was going through my divorce, I was right with y'all. Man, I wouldn't have made it without y'all. I'm being honest. I'm being
You
honest,
were pouring
man.
into people and they were pouring into you, which
Man.
brings me to a good question, because you guys are in a situation where you're pouring out into the youth. You're trying to do your self-care in between, but like David said, do you guys have other people that support your program or that are involved in your program. So if you got to say, hey, today just isn't the day that I can be there the way I need to be, you take over. Do you have other mentors available in your programs that help you guys out?
I have spiritual mentors, and I have a business mentor. And as far as the program, I'm building my team up, and getting more feedback from them instead of trying to do everything on my own.
Yeah.
And run it like an organization and not just a community program.
Yeah.
But it's taking some time. But yeah, definitely I have mentors on all of those levels that I
Yeah.
I think that's a
Yeah,
Johnson
yeah.
trait. We always try to do because we've always been Johnson strong, so it's like we do everything. And I think that in this day and age, you have to learn. Let me let somebody else step in and help me out.
Yeah.
But I think
And
that's a lot of people, though. I mean,
yeah,
especially when they care and they're passionate. I feel like that about my food. I don't
mm,
like sharing the kitchen,
Yeah.
just because it's a representation of me, and it's my labor of love. And then I know with you gentlemen, with these kids, it's like it gets to a point where they're no longer the kids of the program. These are my kids. These are my kids. I'm watching them. It's
Mhm.
You become spiritual fathers, and you just you start monitoring them and watching them with a different type of perspective, unlike other people. You know what I'm saying? So I can understand why you take it and you hold it as dear, because it's part of your heart. It's touching your heart, your heartstrings. So each and every time you go out there, it's like I'm making sure that each one of these sheep out here are in line.
mm,
Yeah. But yeah, I got people. I got people too. Like I got people that's at the gym. And I'm a firm believer, and I believe this in anybody. Like when you don't got it, don't show up, especially when you're in this type of work, because you can ruin just because you're having a bad day, you can ruin somebody else's. So I
mm-hmm,
know when I'm having a bad day, I'm quick to text out when I have those days like I don't got it today. And everybody understand because you can say the same to me. Because this is a
yeah,
work. Like if your light is dim, hey, take care of that. You know what I mean? Because
right,
that no fault. So yeah. And it's healthy. It's healthy when you can't show up. If when you can identify you can't show up, don't show up. It's unhealthy to try to push through when you know you should. So
yeah.
I do my best on just not showing up if I can.
I wish a
Do
lot
you?
of people would do that. Shoot, I'd be going somewhere trying to get some food, and they be like, "This the poorest attitude ever." They're like, "Man, you should have came to work."
You should stay at home.
But
You know what
I
I'm
was
saying?
I was gonna say that one of my bosses a long time ago, like her first pep talk to us was like, "Listen, y'all having a bad day. You was out too late. Don't come in here and half staff us. If you can't come in, just hit me up and let me know." She was like the coolest person because she didn't. I don't need your excuse. I don't need your explanation. You just not coming because you don't got it and you're not gonna give me your full attention. So it is what it is.
And you know
And
why I
that was
feel that?
like a.
I'm
Go ahead.
sorry. I was
No, no,
like,
no. You're fine.
kids, because kids don't care. Like
Mm-hmm.
kids don't care. Like they don't care. They don't know. Like when they see you outside of where you work, it's a surprise that you have a life. Like they think wherever you are, that's where you live. That's what you do. You don't do nothing else. You shouldn't do nothing else. So if I know you're coming to see me and I'm not going to be there, I'm not going to be there for you. I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
show up because they don't care. Like they're not gonna, they can't help me with my problem. If anything, coming up, I'm going to not handle my problem by being around them. I'm going to come to
Right.
work to try to forget about my problem. But if it's so bad I can't show up, I don't need them to ever see it. Like Dave said, I don't think many kids can say they've seen me have a bad day
No,
because I make a very good. I don't let y'all see that. Like that ain't on y'all. Like I'm not there for. I'm not here for you. I mean, you're not here for. You know what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to word it the right
Yeah.
way.
yeah,
But I'm here for you. So if I can't be here for you, I'm not going to show up. And I
Right.
think more people should take that in leadership because the people following you don't care. Like
no.
that's not their
Right.
job. Their job is to follow you. And if you can't lead that day,
Right.
stay
You
home.
took the
They'll
words right out of my mouth. I was just about to say that. Just being able to lead, you got to just be able to lead. And if you can't, then I mean, and that's something that so many of us have to learn because even, like people in other positions, teachers, police officers, or anybody, you having a bad day. a lot of times you can do a million great things for, whoever you're servicing. You can do a million and one great things. You go to work that one day and have a bad day that one time. That's the type of,
That's all they
especially in this
remember.
temperature, that's the type of stuff that they're going to remember. That's what's going to go viral in this, today's day and age. Those are the things that's going to embed in them. So if they don't ever see that side of you, like I had to literally, as a parent, even as a parent, you got to go through those situations. Like my son, I had a rough time parenting him a couple of days ago, maybe a week ago, and he told his dad, he said, "I'm not going in there with her. She's been yelling at me all day." And I was because he was just being hard headed, and so I had to talk to him, and I was like, you know what? Let's talk about how we can communicate better. Like, you tell me what works best for you so that I don't offend you, because regardless, I don't care if he's 8 years old. He's not on the same level of intellectual understanding as I am. So if I'm just screaming at him and he's already put up a defensive wall, or he's already, that's what he didn't get from that whole day. I done took you to get ice cream. I done bought you a Lego box. I done drug you out of Walmart 4 times. He never said any of those things. Daddy, she got me some slime. She got me a new thing for my room. He didn't say none of that, which is all that day that we had done. All he said was, she been yelling at me all day. So what resonated with him was the fact that I had been yelling at him throughout the day. Not that, mommy got me this, mommy did this for me, me and mommy did this together today. None of those things mattered. It overshadowed, my yelling at him that day overshadowed all the good that I had done for him that day. So I had to learn a really valuable lesson, but I also had to remember, like somebody said, "Oh, he's a kid. Why would you give him that choice?" What do you mean? Because one day this kid is going to be an adult. And I'm not going to be that person that takes away his voice just because I'm an adult and I run things. No, we're going to do this. And I want him to understand why I told him he can't go outside. I want him to understand why I told him he can't have a dirt bike or get on the back of a 4-wheeler or whatever the case may be. I want him to understand why I'm telling him no. So I bring him to my perspective, which is important. But I had to learn, and I still am learning, that I have to be consistent, like you said, but also step away when I'm not able to show him my full self, the self he needs to see, you know? And so I think that that's super, like when you're talking about kids, like you really have to be on their intellectual level for them to receive you correctly.
Yeah.
Like that's super. And I got a preteen at 9 years old. He acts like he's that's why I'm only dealing with one. I couldn't imagine dealing with a whole bunch of different youth.
Man.
Hey, they don't come home to us. They go home. Don't come home to me. Go right.
And the crazy thing is, like, I love to volunteer and do things to, just to try to give back and show my son, to try to give back. Especially like I know this isn't the youth, but I'm super passionate about our servicemen and women. Super passionate about our military, and anytime I can do anything to give back in those arenas, I'm always like all for it. And so as we've been embarking on these interviews, like we've been super excited for this one, along with the one we did a couple of weeks ago on mental health. But I'm going to ask you guys the same way that I asked them, especially you, Lionel, because me and you have had some really long conversations over the last couple of months about your program and just doing what you do. But how do you guys, or do you guys have opportunities for other people to volunteer, to give back to your programs or to help out in your programs, just to, be able to do their own or give their own assistance to you guys? How does that work? Or do you guys even have that options? I mean,
well, yeah, I'm always open. They can just reach out to us on our website or on our Instagram page for our sports program, Unity Sports Access. And with this past December, we had a young man that had a bar mitzvah, and they reached out on our website, and instead of having gifts, he asked all of his friends to bring sports equipment. So and they donated all of that to our organization.
Oh wow.
And
UnitySportsAccess.com.
yeah, .org.
.org. Oh, sorry.
And that org is important.
Yeah,
That org is
I know.
important.
And you know the
yeah.
and me and him looked at the
I think I
website
bought
too.
both
when-
of them though.
Yeah, my bad.
But that's what we're looking for right now. Is I'm networking with coaches in the community and sports and recreation departments to see what they need and collaborating with them to bring in more sports equipment to help out the schools and in our community.
That's
And
amazing.
do
man.
you have opportunities for people? Because you're in California, and we're some of us are kind of spread over. But do you have, like, if I wanted to do some volunteer work with your organization or your Foundations of Love, like, do you have those for like remote assistance or things that people can help out with, or mostly just
Yeah.
hands-on things?
I'm open to collaborate with anybody right now.
Okay. There's always where there's a will, there's a way.
I'm
Gotcha.
trying
Straight up.
Now I wouldn't have done this format a year ago,
Yeah, I know.
but it's time to get out there and share, and it's not holding back. And
The one thing
Yeah.
about it is whenever you're able to collaborate with different programs and stuff like that, that's when you really start growing as a whole, because there's so many different avenues to go down and so many people are plugged in with different outlets. This is right here is one of the best things to do, because you don't know how many people are going to see this. Like right now there's a few people watching it, and then a lot of times we check after the fact, there's like hundreds of other views that pop up. So there might be somebody in California or close that might want to go ahead and link up with you, or shoot, somebody here in Kansas City, and start doing something where, we're collaborating and sending kids down that way, to venture out and see different things. And, traveling is one of the biggest things to open up a child's eyes, because then they are seeing more than just the block. And
Yes.
that's the biggest thing. If they could get away from the block and see that there's more than the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, or whatever they want to claim, then they'll say, "Oh my God, there's the city goes further than this."
Like
Yeah,
for real? Yeah.
there's a 307th Street, man. It keeps on going.
And I completely agree with that too, because there's other ways that you can volunteer that people don't think about. David knows this. One of the biggest ways that I try to support him is, hey Tish, I was thinking about, because on the side I do graphic designing and things like that, and he'll, hey Tish, I have this idea, what do you think? Or I'll be doing something on a project and I'll be like, here, what do you think about this? Or let's make me a quick flyer or something. Like we try to work together. David is probably one of the most supportive, so I'm always on trying to help out whenever I can, or in whatever way that I can. And same thing with both of you. Obviously, Kick, we're here in Kansas City, Kansas. So if there's something I could do to come down and bring my son and say, hey, this is an event that I want you to be present in and see how these mentorship programs work, I can obviously come there. But with you, Lionel, I can be like, hey, let me volunteer my time for you. What do you need? You need me to, help you out with this or work out this, or are you doing an event that I can help out with in any way? Like, those are the things that I want to make sure, because I want to make sure that I'm present in volunteering and helping try to make a difference, even if it's in a little way. Like you guys said, a small seed can have a large impact. So that leads us to you, Coach Winston. Do you have opportunities for like volunteering, events, things like that?
Yeah. Typically what I tell people, just reach out, because I try to leave it open. Of course, background checks and stuff like that when people come around,
Right.
because of the facilities. But I'm always open for coaches to come in, and it's really about just being around. So guys that's willing to come in, open gym. I have guys that come in, come play with the guys. I have guys that come around to help train, coaches help train the kids, and others that come in to sit during like our college career sessions. So anybody that's willing, like we have somebody come in and do financial planning, banking, stocks. So have people come in and do different exposure opportunities for them, because it's not just basketball, but give them the opportunity to sit down and talk to them. So anybody that's willing are interested in dealing with any type of youth, I'm always willing to talk about what they want to do. That's even like online or even in person. You know what I mean? So yeah.
I like that you bring up that even though you guys are doing, you both have like sports programs and trying like, I think that's what makes you guys, both your programs super special is because you're not just using sports to help guide and teach and you're bringing in financial advisors, you're bringing in people that, you know, teaching them stocks or crypto, whatever. You're bringing in people that are teaching them other things outside of that and giving them, like David said, giving them something that will be eye openers that they wouldn't have ever, maybe not have been exposed to.
Yeah.
So I think that that's an amazing thing that you got. The more y'all talk, the more I'm just kind of like, y'all are super preaching right now and don't even realize it. Like, I think that that's amazing that you guys have so many different avenues with just this one program. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I love that.
So,
I love that.
so I gotta ask you guys a couple of questions about some of the things that you guys battle with, because it seems like now the youth, there's so many different things that pull them. TikToks, internet culture. Shoot. Uh, Winston showed me a video of the kids. He's like, "Hey, these are my kids." One day, and I'm just looking at them, and it looked like a freaking music video, but you know, gangster rap. I'm seeing heavy artillery, and I'm just looking like, bro, is that a video? It's like, no, those my kids. That's here. I'm like, is that old block? It's like,
No
is
block.
that no, seriously, I'm thinking like, shoot, it look like Chicago or something. I'm seeing stuff that it's like, where you get that from? So it's just like, how do you deal with such a strong gang presence around your kids, you know, and still trying to be that positivity in their life? I mean, I know it's strong in certain areas.
Um, I think getting older, I'm starting to realize like there is a like huge difference in what we make it when it comes to youth and us, and when it comes to that time. Like gangs have been around forever. You know what I mean? Like gang activity has been part of our culture since we were young. I think many of us probably grew up in gang activity and didn't realize it, right? Your
Right.
family was a gang. You didn't realize it was just me and my cousins, but you realize you and your cousins walking around doing stuff that gangs did. You just didn't call yourself a gang. So when it comes to this generation, I think it's more about the violence, and the violence is more or less stem from the fact of fear. You can't fight fear, yo. Like people say kids know what they're doing, but the reality is it's just evolved. We're looking at an evolution of violence. We're looking at from back in the day where it was about putting your hands up, then you getting jumped, then it's shooting a gun, then it's a type of gun. Like now you have 15-year-olds carrying around rifles with extensions and switches.
Mhm.
Like no 15-year-old should be handling a military weapon. So when a kid is handling a weapon like that, and I know a kid that don't like me is handling a weapon like that, what am I going to do? I'm going to go get a weapon like him, because and it's just perpetuating this culture of violence.
Mhm.
And it's almost like, well, everybody put their guns down. It's like kids are like, no, because somebody's going to keep a gun.
Right.
Somebody's going to keep one. So it's not, when you talk to these kids, you realize these kids are still kids. Like they really are. Like even the video I showed you, these kids, like I tell you, like I talk to these kids like they're regular people, and they really are. But when you go into your environment, we've all grown up with people like this. When they go home, that'd be somebody completely different. Like it's
Right.
cool to be in a gym because I can be a kid for 2 hours. But when I
Right.
go back down on the block, like I gotta hold it down for whoever. I get it because I come from it. And I guess what I always try to communicate to them is there's only so many ways out of this. It's statistical. I don't have to lie to you. We can sit right here in 5 years. I can tell you where majority of y'all going to be at if y'all continue down this path. You can listen to me, or we can watch it happen. And unfortunately, a lot of them watch it happen, but maybe a few of them listen. So out of 10 guys, if I can get 2 of them to listen, that's it. Because statistically, 9 of them are supposed to go. You know what I mean? So I think with the odds, you try to fight the odds knowing they're not in your favor ever. So when you think about kids and youth and fixing something, you're talking about something that took 40 years to get here. We didn't get here by accident. So it's nothing we're going to fix
Right.
tomorrow with a program or ministry. Like, it's really going to take an act of God to fix what's going on. So it's really the little stuff, and the obstacles have always been here. You know what I mean? I worked in the worst part of Missouri for years when I first started. It was really bad then. And it was bad because they had to be. I think now it's bad because they choose to be. Kids, like, they create the violence. They like living in it. They don't have to do it. But I realized once you get in it, you already know how it is. You 14, 15, you
Yeah.
get in it. There's only one way out of this. You're either going to move or you're going to get caught. Like, you got to stand on it. And I think in my environment, it's just, like you said, it's like Chicago. People don't realize Missouri it's just not as big as Chicago.
Right.
It is. It's
Right.
Memphis. It's just not as big as Memphis. It is that violent. Like, we've lost over 2,000 black men in 8 years. It's that bad. So when you know those numbers, what do you do? Like, what do you do besides every day you do your work? Because it's nothing I can do or Michael can do to save those acts of violence. Like, and once that violence happens, it's the trauma that we deal with, because those families we deal with usually were broken because of something that came off of the street, or that somebody went to jail, somebody passed, somebody, like, it's always something dealing in that. And it honestly creates layers of trauma.
Right.
So it's like, once
Yeah.
you fix one, it's like you got to go fix, it's impossible. That's how people burn out. So when you think about obstacles, you can't think about it. You're doing God's work. It's endless obstacles. Like, I know for me, all I can focus on, like, that kid in front of me every day, or that kid that's talking to me that day. Because if I take my eyes off of that and think about all the problems, like, somebody got killed right outside my apartment. Yes, like on Saturday. Like, no matter where you go in this city, no matter how nice it is, you're still going to run into violence. So the thought is, how do you fix it? You don't. It's like, how do you cope with it? How do you mend it? How do you treat it? You just try. Honestly, I'm sorry, I got on a platform. My
No,
bad.
you're fine. You're fine.
Oh,
You're fine. Because like I said, y'all preaching and
Yeah,
don't realize
yeah,
it, because that's one of the things that I feel is important when you do pour into the youth, is like, try to make, like you said, it is out of fear. A lot of it is out of fear, but they don't realize they're making fearful decisions that have long lasting consequences, or things you cannot take back.
Yes.
You're in fear for whatever situation, or you got to get such and such first, but you don't realize, like, you're not only affected. Yeah, you might get rid of that person, but you about to go to jail with, you 15, about to be up in prison with some pretty a lot more dangerous than what that guy was. You know what I mean? So it's really sad and unfortunate that they're at a state where it's either kill or be killed, basically. Is their mentality, and that's why these programs that you both have are so important, because, like you said, the odds are stacked against you as it is. But being able to, you got 10 kids and you at least touch and change the life of 3 or 4, you did something.
Right.
Yeah.
Even if you
Right.
just change the life of 1 or 2, you did something, because that's 1 or 2 children that you just saved them from this. The streets will eat you alive. The
Oh,
streets
yeah.
don't care about you. Period. Everybody knows that.
Like my mom used to say, a bullet ain't got no eyes and ain't got no name. So
And neither do
if you-
firecrackers.
it's just-
Sorry, I have PTSD from firecrackers. My bad.
oh,
Um,
I should have PTSD from firecrackers, man.
Remember when it almost shot me on Verloni's porch, and I had it on
Look.
video?
Mm.
Yeah, almost.
At
Okay,
least you didn't have
sorry.
a pocket full of bottle rockets and set yourself on fire. Yeah,
No,
I did
ain't
that.
doing
I should. That's why I have not shot firecrackers. No more. I left it
That's
alone.
He said, no more.
No more.
Never again.
Done.
Not
Done.
gonna
Bottle
happen.
rocket wars over with. Done. But Lionel,
Yes.
my man.
Lionel.
Lionel.
It,
He's calling Michael. I'm calling Lionel.
Well, he.
Oh, I'm my fault, Lionel. My fault. I thought I heard mom. So I can't read. I don't got my contacts in. It sure do say I can't even see. My
Oh
fault.
my God. I thought you was talking about my Mike that was in the
I heard you
comments.
say Mike. That's your husband. Hey.
Yeah.
Yes, Mike is
Yeah.
Oh,
my
I
husband.
heard
He was in the
Michael.
comments.
I can't read. I can't see that. My fault.
Poor Lionel.
He just
Oh,
sitting there
poor
like I was
Lionel.
like I know.
Yeah,
I'm
he
just
just,
like
he just answering. He just like
we
whatever.
cool. We cool.
Yeah.
It's I got you.
Oh
All
my
right.
gosh.
All right.
Go ahead with your question, David.
I was just gonna ask for his perspective on, what we said, just dealing with those obstacles and, or I don't know how it is where you are as far as the gang relations and, you know, what the kids are dealing with out there, if it's drug infested,
Yeah, the city that I serve, San Bernardino County, is rated with Baltimore and
Yeah,
Chicago
yeah. It's
at the crime rate and murder rate.
Mhm,
So it's much needed. I just moved out to this community
mhm.
because where I was is a little bit more inland, and but the kids. I've been in that situation where a young man that I had at my church was highly gifted and but was in the streets of Pomona, California, and you get caught on the street, you're put in the gang file.
yeah.
Years ago, there was a police officer that was murdered right outside of the courthouse by a gang member, and they've become strict ever since.
Oh,
You get caught on a street corner, you're in the gang file. And then he went out and was sentenced to like what 147 years of yeah, they said that he shot at 3 kids on the street, so it's 20 years for shooting a gun, 20 years for each person you shot at. And
Golly.
so yeah, I've seen it, and one of my most gifted kids, and working with him one-on-one,
yeah, man.
he got, he was frustrated and felt like that he needed to do something after an incident. One of his friends was murdered. But that was one of the incidents that I almost wanted to quit. Listening to a young man say that he was tired. They're at Bible study on a Wednesday night, and he's talking about he's tired. I'm tired of the way I'm living. I just got out of juvenile hall. They wanted their parents to move out of the hood, and a week later he was dead. And you're working with these kids one-on-one. You like, parents as parents or working with the youth, you're like, what are you tired for? Boy, you don't have a job. All you have to do is go to school. But their surroundings, they're tired of the situation. And then they give into it.
And trying
I was
to
gonna
get out of
say
it.
their minds haven't really developed as far as ours, so their mental capacity is a lot smaller than ours when it comes to dealing with such a harsh thing. I mean, how many funerals do you have to go to, in your teens like that? People that you see every day, just leaving. I mean, that right there alone would probably get me, doing stupid stuff, because these are the people that, you walk to school every day with, you hang out with, you spend the night over the house with grandma or, auntie and stuff like that. Everybody just together, and then all of a sudden it's gone. I mean, change is hard to deal with as an adult. Dealing with it as a child, that stuff is harsh.
And I always tell people, I always try to understand, like, when we talk about trauma is a result of the things we went through. When you're going through things in the moment, you don't realize what it is. These kids are living in the moment of real dire situations that when you literally trying to figure it out and survive, you make bad decisions because you don't know the options that you really have, because you can't think that far out. When you got things right in front of you, that when you live in dysfunction, it's hard to think straight. When you got people, grown-ups around you who think a certain type of way, like the gang culture does not think, it doesn't allow you to process things the right way. Like, you become part of this, and if you don't have a choice in that, like, if my uncle was this or my homeboy is this, and somebody see me with him and they got beef with them, I have beef now too. Like, you're born into something like that. You're not, it's no rational thought in that, because it's in the moment. In the moment, you don't know how, you don't understand trigger, you don't understand trauma. That comes years later. So when you're 15, 16, 17, living in moments, you're not going to understand that until you're like 30, because you don't understand it. You might be like, man, that was messed up. Understand like really what it did to you and how it shaped you. So a lot of these kids go to jail, and we've seen in our culture, people come out different. It ain't because they come out different. They went in young.
Right.
Like when somebody going anywhere, 17, 18, 19, if they come out at 30, don't you think they'll be different?
Yeah.
They just have to. They mature.
Right. They had to sit down.
Kids, like, you doing grown-up activities don't make you mature or grown. It makes you irresponsible. So when you actually get in a place with grown-ups, that don't make you grown still. There's a lot of incarcerated people that are children.
Right.
They don't have the capacity to understand right from wrong. And it's not because, and it's because they don't know. Because they really don't know. When you're bred, when, like you said, when I've lost 3 people to gun violence this year, right? My view is skewed when it comes to justice. My thought is skewed when it comes to retaliation. Because in my mind, I'm not seeing I was talking to Dave yesterday. Somebody killed him and the police ain't even looking for him. Then they killed my uncle and nobody even talking about it. Neighborhood know who did it. So I'm pressed like a young man. I'm gonna go do something wild because ain't nobody else gonna do it. So I'll take those years because in where I grow up, those years mean I did the right thing. If I go sit down, I did the right thing. They don't understand they did something wrong until they're grown up and they like, man, I wish I would have did that, bro. I wish I would have did this. Because they don't know. They just don't know. And it's sad, but it's like programs are needed. Back in the day, we had programs and activities that those gap hours, that 3 to 7, that's where we was at. Like, it don't matter what we was doing. We just wasn't on the street. It don't matter where we was at. We just wasn't doing crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Our cities don't provide those structures no more. Like kids, we were latchkey kids. The environment, they don't allow latchkey environment, but our kids are growing up latchkey life. Like a lot of our kids are growing up in this environment and they're tending to themselves. You know what I mean? Because everybody got to work. Price of living is high.
Right.
You know what I mean? Mama's at work. Daddy ain't around. So I'm raising my family. I'm 15.
Right.
I might not be working, but I'm at the house all day. That's not healthy. Or I'm in the street. Like it's compounded.
So there's no guidance because back in the day, if your mom was working, you had your grandma or your aunties down the street. Like, you know, it was when they say it takes a village back in the day, I think that helped so much because we talk about this all the time. Like the kids these days aren't built the same way that we were. Like you said, back in our day, you know, you put your dukes up. We got bored and we would get on our 10 speeds and go fight all the girls that we didn't like.
I'll make a tour out of it. Everybody show up.
That's what we did. Summer is hot. We don't got nothing else to do. We only had 2 bikes and it was 4 of us. Somebody getting on the handlebars and let's just go handle business. But guess what? We all was at the skating rink the next weekend. And the thing is that those girls now though, like there's one girl I got into a fight with in high school and you know our fight was pretty severe. Wyandotte, you know, you do your thing, whatever. But as an adult now, we had a conversation like that was just dumb. But guess what? Because of the decision that we made to fight instead of shoot each other, we are able to have that conversation. And that's why I said that they don't understand that these decisions that they're making are lasting decisions. Like you cannot take these murders back. You can't take back the 40 years of life sentences that you're getting because you did the right thing. You know what I'm saying? You can't take that back. And you saying that people are gonna sit down, they're gonna sit down and they're gonna grow up. Hell yeah, they're gonna grow up and harden up too because I don't think they're ready for what like them people. I just know a couple people that didn't come out the same. That's all I'm saying.
But what you said right there is there was a mutual respect that was gained right there, and that's the thing with these kids. They don't have respect because they're not growing up with like what we had. We had Big Mama, we had Pop Pop, and they would tell us, you know, if you get out of line, I'm gonna go ahead and snatch a switch and switch your mind real quick. You're gonna learn real fast.
Oh yeah.
Now it's like a lot of the parents, if they are present, their presence is almost like a friendship, or it's just like, you know, I'm you go ahead and do whatever you want to do, you know, and I'll worry about it later on. You know, some parents are encouraging behaviors, you know, as a young kid, and then they go out and it's like, oh, you let them slide all this time. Now you want to go ahead and correct them, and it's too late because this attitude now it went from being just something that was cute that this is a habit. You encourage
Right.
this now. So
And that's
now
why,
you
yeah.
you got to deal
Mm-hmm.
with it, and it's sad because a lot of these younger parents don't know how to deal with it because they thought their parents were being too hard on them, so they were
Mhm.
lax. And then because they were lax, the kids said, "Oh, I can do whatever I want to, and you can't handle them now. Now your kid too wild. You were like, I'm gonna send you to your daddy, and your daddy don't want you, and now the kid is displaced."
You you know what I would challenge most adults to do is not to engage with a young person,
Not to what?
because I think a lot of
You broke
times
up there, man. You said you.
I I said I would challenge adults to engage with a young person, even if it's going to be uncomfortable.
Mhm,
Because what I realized, like, it ain't the fact that they lack respect.
mhm,
They just don't understand what respect is.
Mm.
In my frame of thought, you walking into my space and not speaking to me is disrespect, right?
mhm.
But if you grow up in a house where everybody walk in and don't speak to nobody, it's
That was your
that's just what it
environment.
is.
That's what you're used to.
That's what
Yeah.
it is. If you let, like so you saying, like, if you cuss around your people, so
Mhm,
you come around you cuss, right?
mhm.
It's not disrespectful for you because in your house it's tolerated. It's
Right.
disrespectful for me because that's my person. What I've learned in this work, and you have to evolve with these kids, is regardless of what I see deem as disrespect or respect, it's my job to always show them. Because naturally with kids, they will return it if you can show it to them. The
Mm,
problem is a lot of people don't have the patience to show somebody respect that disrespect you. Do they disrespect me? Yeah, all the time. Coming cussing, talking about stuff. But it's my job as an adult to show you and expect you and hold you accountable to that respect. Now there are boundaries, but y'all disrespectful. I've been there. Now it's like y'all don't know because I realize it's not y'all. Your environment taught you things. I'm expecting you to know certain things that your environment didn't teach you. So this matter of disrespect is just part of your culture. You're not being disrespectful. You're actually being exactly who they're letting you be.
mhm.
My job is to show you and teach you respect if you want it. Now, if I'm the only person showing you, that's good. Because if you value it and you want to be something different, you'll follow that. Because I'll tell you, everybody around you, that ain't right. They do it that way. Why do you think? Like, it's a way we can teach that, but
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
lot of times we put our guard up as adults because we demand respect. As an adult, you need to respect me. You need to listen to me. You should challenge me. And that's not this culture of kids. Like, they ask a lot of whys and
Oh
hows.
yeah.
And what you
And
mean? And
and
that's
you know
dumb.
what? I explain,
Mhm.
but you're
And you gotta
absolutely right.
explain.
You're absolutely right though. And with my son, I will explain because and I will teach him. My husband says sometimes, you're teaching him too much. Like, no, I'm not, because if I don't teach him or if we don't teach him, the streets are gonna teach him. So which
Right.
way would you prefer that he learns? But the thing is, he's like, and again, people always say, why do you explain things to him? Because I need to be at his level. His perspective is different. But I
Mhm,
also know my child, and I also know like my nieces and nephews. Like one of my oldest nephew is 25, 26 now, and I know that I can't go to him and try to teach him. He's a father, he's got 3 kids. I can't go to Maka and be like, "Yo, nephew, blah 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 blah," because he's instantly gonna put his guard up. But I can go to his brother
Yeah.
that's right underneath him, Keiki, and I can be like, "Yo, nephew, blah blah blah." He's gonna be like, "Damn, Auntie, I didn't even realize I did that." Maka, the perception from both and how they
Yeah.
will receive my message. I have to have a different delivery for each one. You know what I'm saying? I have to
Yeah.
understand you have to understand your audience a lot of times. But that's when you're talking about kids too. With my son, I know certain things that will instantly he will put his guard up and he'll shut down and he won't listen to me anymore. So I have to approach it in a way that I know that he's going to understand what I'm saying and he's going to receive what I'm saying exactly how I'm trying to. So I mean, obviously that's a learning curve with anybody, but you have to learn, the difference. But it's important because, I'll tell my son stuff that we'll sit here and I'll watch, TikTok or something, and um he'll see something like David and I were talking, he'll see like an honor walk. And he didn't understand. Well, one little boy couldn't be more than 10 years old, and he was like, "That boy don't even look old enough to be dying. Like, what happened?" And I had to explain it to him, and my husband was like, "Yo, why?" And I said, "Because in our family, we've experienced that, and there's no way in hell that I'm not going to let him understand because it's an epidemic with kids They not doing something in the street, they're getting bullied in school, and they're unaliving themselves. And I need my son to understand that he can come talk to me about anything. I don't care what it is, an adult, another
Exactly.
kid, something going on. And guess what he does? He will come to me and be like, "Yo, such and such told me that I'm this, and what is that about?" Or such and such told me that I was being mean, and this is what happened. Like, he will talk to me and his dad about anything and everything, and that's what he should do, because whatever. I'm very upfront with him, and he'll say why, and I'll answer him. I don't care. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm not that because I said so, parent. At least I try not to be. Sometimes he really push my buttons sometimes. He
But I
tests my
mean,
patience for sure. That's a. But I'm sure these kids do that. Period.
but the one thing that you do, and I commend you and Mike both on it when dealing with Mike, is y'all make sure that he understands. Y'all
Yeah.
make sure that he comprehends it, and then it's like, even if y'all get into it with him, he throws a fit. You be like, you know why I did this, or you know why I
Yep.
said this, because you did this. I had to do this, and
Yeah.
that young man, he'll go ahead and speak to everybody that shows up for bowling or anybody that comes in the house. He'll go ahead and say something. If you're on the phone with somebody, he'll go ahead and say hi, and go about his business. But the thing about it is he's respectful. And that's what you guys have placed in him. You guys have
Yeah.
cultivated that in him. And anytime he's around anybody else, they see that. And a lot of the kids that, like Bobby said, they're not taught this. They don't understand what it is to have that love and that poured out into them, and to have that respect talk to them. I mean, they might be taught respect, but it's respect for the block, and that's something totally different.
Yeah.
That's something totally
Yep.
different.
Yeah.
And then
Yep.
they go about it like, you disrespect my block, you disrespect the set, that ain't gonna go down right. They go to ops, I gotta get you on site. It ain't got nothing to do with you. You know,
Right.
you ain't seen these people, them people ain't did nothing to nobody that you know. But because you part of these people, or they said we running up on them, this is what we doing. And then it's just not taught right. Winston
Yeah.
was bringing it out that the perception is totally different. It's skewed on how it looks, taking years, taking bodies and saying that you did this, putting it in rap songs, or just putting it on your body, displaying it as a badge of honor. Everything that could be despicable to the common man is regarded with praise with some of these kids. And it's just horrible that, they look at it like this is all I'm gonna see in life. This is all I'm gonna be. And I'm gonna live this moment until it's my last. And that could be tomorrow. And that's how they approach it.
So I wanna ask a question real quick to Lionel. I know that one of your programs, you guys deal with your wife has the program for the single mothers, and that may not have a father figure in the home, which I know a lot of your youth may or may not. But when you get into these programs with the single mothers, do you find it more difficult to deal with those children who not have had any type of authority versus the other children that are in the sports access program? Or do you find that all of them have well, I won't say similarities, because obviously every situation is different, but
Yeah.
how do you feel, just explain like that part of the program and the impact on that, because obviously you have more of an opportunity not to have a father in the home with that program.
With that program, we combined the two. Like, we took a single mother, we surprised her on Mother's Day to support her daughter in Taekwondo. So we paid for her Taekwondo classes for about 6 months, and we provide, so it just gave her an opportunity to allocate her funds to her daughter to be able to afford what was it, clothes for school. And then we make this, that's one of our most impactful programs. Like, we work one-on-one with the parent to see where they're at, and to help them grow and support their kids, their activities.
Mm. So
So
your program is not just for that specific program. you're not just working directly with the kids. With that one, you're also working with the parents. So you
Right.
have
Work with the parents to see where
mm,
they're at, to help them allocate their funds, to help them be able to provide for their kids.
like I said, I love the uniqueness of both of your programs and how you guys run it. Because then you could always, just having somebody there. I obviously I've never been a single parent, but I couldn't imagine doing things without my husband because we bounce off of each other constantly. Even though we only have one kid, we bounce off each other constantly. And if I have something going on or a doctor's appointment, he's always like right there to pick us. So I can't imagine how it would be for someone who doesn't have that support system. So I can obviously that could be super critical and just someone to say, hey, you're doing a good job. Even like we were talking about earlier with Coach Winston and with David, having another adult there to support you and also pour into your child has got to be really uplifting and inspiring. So what if somebody wanted to I'm assuming both of you guys have organizations that are uh charitable organizations. So if someone wanted to, see this program and they wanted to give, they would both just go to your websites collectively to be able to find out how to give. And what was
Yes,
your
ma'am.
tell me again, Coach Winston, what was yours?
Kickministries.org.
Kickministries.org.
Mhm.
Okay. Make sure I spelled ministries right. And I'll go ahead and post these on our on our platforms too, so that if anybody does come across these platforms and they want, I mean, this video obviously, they want to find out more about either one of your organizations, how to give, how to volunteer, how to, whatever the case may be, that you guys are present on those because people don't understand the true value of what you guys are doing. I mean, I'm sure people understand actually. I won't say that. You guys have very valuable programs that you're both running and super important. And you still find time to go play basketball or whatever you were doing in the gym before you
That's part of my job. That's the benefits of it. I get to play basketball.
Me and Lionel was trying to take a nap. We were trying to take us a little nap.
Shoot. So
Sorry, my
I got a
phone.
question. I got a question for you, gentlemen. I mean, you guys stay up to date with a lot of current events.
I try.
You try. All right. So
I work a 9 to 5. I work a regular job too, and then I come home and then I try to work on the nonprofit.
I stay busy. Yeah, you are deep in ministry, man. That's it right there. So I wanted to get you guys' perspective, and this is kind of outside of the realm, but I'm gonna try to wrangle this thing in with this thought. Okay, so I don't know if you heard about this young lady that was hit with a brick in the face.
What?
For telling a young man that she was not interested. This happened down in Florida, I believe.
When?
So recently, I'm surprised you
Oh, I
haven't
missed
seen
it.
it. I'm surprised you ain't seen that one. So this thing, I keep hearing it where it's almost like rejection causes violence with a lot of young men, and I don't know if you guys are seeing it in your areas of work.
Oh man, that's been prone for like ever. You know what I mean?
But I'm just saying, it's seeming
evolved.
like it's
It's evolved. Like it's always been man, forget you then. You know what I mean? You ugly anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, this where people are just lashing out and just going like extreme. It's just strange. And then like the fallout was it was a lot of black males that were around, and she was saying, well, y'all ain't gonna do nothing. Y'all see this man do this to me. And a lot of the replies back were, I don't know what this man is doing, or I don't know what he got. It's not my business. So it's crazy that we're at a state now where when people are getting accosted right in front of you and you can't do anything because you're fearful of your own life because you don't know what this man is capable of doing.
That that KC activist Alonzo Washington. That's funny you said that because he literally just posted, I think, a couple days ago, a bunch of pictures and was like, "What has Kansas City come to?" And this is just really, to me, the world that people are getting into fights or people are getting shot and killed, and y'all record it and then spread it on social media like that's a badge of honor. Like, y'all would rather sit there and watch somebody like he had pictures of this girl. I'm assuming there was a big brawl on 18th and Vine because that's what he said on the post. But it was a bunch of pictures of these two girls fighting in a big high school circle, and everybody's got their phones out recording. Nobody jumped in to stop them. You know, some people got killed recently. People recorded on their phone. Nobody called the police or anything. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we've come to, which is unfortunate. But like Coach Winston said, we've evolved.
Right.
And that comes with everything. Evolved in good and in bad.
Yeah. It's bad.
Yeah.
And I mean, not to write it off, but I think a lot of times fear paralyzes you. It's a form of paralysis in a way. And it's not real. You know what I mean? So even in those type of environments, you just got to know to stay away from those type of environments. Like if you live in a city, you know what that is. You know how it is. You know what I mean? I hate to say it that way, but things have a culture. Violence has a culture. Like your city has a culture. And I don't care how much you like it or don't like it, it is part of the culture and the fabric of where you stay. If you go to an event, we've seen it. That's why I love what I do, because I get to create a safe environment for open gyms. You can't do open gyms in the city for real. Like, you know what I mean? Open gyms and fell out in the shootout. People that got jumped. Like, they don't do them in the city. The city shut them down because of that. Like, but it's a good thing because it's a form of collaboration, a form that we can use. But of course, in our environment, it can easily turn into that because that's our culture. Our culture is, like you said, you disrespect me, I'm standing on it. So that means like, and now even as a culture, like if you stand on it, we gotta let you stand on it, which is stupid because we're gonna let you get harmed or let you get jumped or let something happen to you.
Right.
But it's almost like, well, they standing on it, we're gonna let them do their thing. And it's like, nah, y'all, like
don't do that. This is like, what are y'all doing?
That's not everybody. You know what I mean? I think we got to pick our environments too and what happened. Like there are going to be outlier situations that are crazy, but that doesn't speak to the masses of people. I think that the nature of people is still good. I think it's just more people doing foolish stuff that's being recorded, but it doesn't take away from the good nature of our culture. Like we're still good people, but there is high ignorance. Like, yeah, somebody threw a brick at a woman because he didn't like it's ignorant, but we all know somebody that probably react a certain way. Like, yeah, that's just him. You know, he emotional. Like, nah, he need help. He need help.
And you know what? That's exactly what it is. And you probably hit the nail. A lot of what we're dealing with now is that because I mean I don't condone it, but a lot of it is amplified because of the recordings and social media and the internet. Because if you think about it, there were situations that you can look up in the 20s and the 30s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s, especially the 80s and early 90s, where women were getting, you know, assaulted and killed, assaulted and unalived for, you know, not going on dates with people, and they weren't, you know, things were happening where people weren't amplified because it wasn't on video. You didn't have cameras. You didn't even have DNA testing the way that we do now. So as technology has enhanced, so are the ways of the world, to be honest. Like you have people videotaping fights now, you know, in high school. Think about it. We probably would have been, you know, videotaping.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
So many spots in the school, man. People used to round up and have fights, man, after school. Be in one of those daggum hallways that nobody be in, have a brawl, and then everybody walk off like nothing happened. Dude's still laying there like, oops.
And I would say, like, it speaks to, like, I got two examples, right? Just one outlandish thing. Can you imagine if there was social media during the civil rights movement? Can you imagine the type of stuff that would have been recorded during that? Like,
oh, yeah.
That would have been captured in the moment. It would have been like, dang, it's crazy. We only, like, the things we've seen in black and white are like a percentage of how bad it really was.
And what they
So
went
even when
through.
it comes to technology, there's good use to it because our culture changed with George Floyd. Like that moment being captured changed the fabric of the culture in America forever. Because that was, we saw something that was recorded that most people couldn't argue was wrong, right?
Right.
It was wrong. So it plays into the use of technology because the use of technology, it does bring a broader scale of what's going on. And that can be ignorance and positivity or influence. It's just the use that people use it as. And I think that's across time. We use certain things to our advantage, and sometimes it's to our disadvantage. To where social media, the kids nowadays, this is part of their lifeblood. This isn't a rare occurrence. They've grown up with technology. So it's different for us, but it's normal to them because they know nothing outside of technology. They don't know what it's like to have a dial-up. They don't know what it's like to have a landline. They don't know what it's like to have to wait on something, right? So culturally, they have a completely different view of the world than we have because they have access to things that we don't know. So it's for the good. It's just they also use it for the ignorance, which we did too. You know what I mean? It's just a lot of times we view it like, in a way, they're dealing in this in real time. They don't know the power they have in their hand. They don't know the resource they have with Google. They're kids. They've had it their whole life. But if you teach them the use of that tool or the use of the media, it benefits them because recording something can be useful if you feel like you can't do something. But you should never sit and record something if you could do something. And that fear of, I don't know what they're going to do, that's a cultural thing. And it's an excuse. Because in most cases, you can stop a fight before you get there. We all been in places where you go, hey, and it just kind of stops.
Yeah.
But people want to see that. People want to see the fight. People want a viral moment. People want that on their page so they can say, I went viral. And that's the selfish thing. It has nothing to do with the moment. As much as we think it's the moment, it's the effect. They want to go viral. They want their page to hit numbers. And unfortunately, that's off the backs of somebody being harmed, which is crazy to us. But to them, that's their life. World Star is a culture. Like it's old now, but that they grew up on people yelling out World Star and knowing something bad is about to happen. Like that's wild to know. Like you gotta look over your shoulder, like, who gonna record me now?
Right. And that's part of the reason why one person won, all the black people run. But you know,
that is true. That is true.
I mean, it's still like that.
It still holds true.
It also
It holds
exposes.
true.
I mean, there's good and
then-
bad to it, of course, because it also exposes other situations. Like I've never seen so many racially charged situations recorded than what we are in right now. But people are always like, "Oh, they're coming out the woodwork," and I'm like, "No, they've
They
always been there. They just wasn't recorded, and they didn't have anything to like. Let's just call a spade a spade. You get into it with a verbal argument with somebody who, says something racially charged to you. What you gonna do? You're just gonna be smoking hot for a couple of days, but there's nothing you can do. Now the power of the internet, they find these people, they find where they work, they know their whole name, they get them fired, they get them, make them go viral. I mean, exposed. It's crazy. But it is. But I mean, so I guess there's good and bad to it because I see a lot of those. Somehow that stuff got in my algorithm. That and like paranormal activities. I don't know why it's all in my algorithm. I was up till 3:00 last night. Every other video was something about Karen or Ken, and then the videos in between was, please say something if you're here. What is your name? I said, I gotta go to bed. What is this?
I don't know what you watching, but you need to stop it. Stop
That's
it.
my
Red
algorithm.
flags.
I don't know how. I watched one Medium video, and now my algorithm is full of.
That's all it takes is just one. Now they haunting your algorithm. They in there.
It's all crazy. I certainly appreciate the conversation and just being able to talk to you both about your programs. I really love, like I've said throughout this entire broadcast, I really love the uniqueness that each one of you are bringing to your programs, how you're finding ways to meet these youth at their level, because I won't just say these young men, because you guys are working with girls as well, young ladies as well. So being able to meet them at their level and help them grow is a great thing. And also pouring other things into them, because we know, especially in the Black community, when we were growing up, not many of us were not taught like financial literacy. We weren't taught, different types of mannerisms, boundaries, respect. You know, there were so many things that we were not taught to do that you guys are kind of incorporating into your programs, and also providing a level of support to the parents as well as the youth, and saying, hey, somebody's going to believe in you, like Lionel said, kind of finding ways, if these young ladies or whomever want to do taekwondo or cheering programs, let me believe in you enough to support you through this process and watch you grow and flourish and become the captain, and now you've built a passion and a drive, and these things are going to have extreme impact on them as they grow. So I definitely, if y'all need any support or encouragement from me or David, just hit us up, because Lionel knows when he was telling me about his program, I was just like, oh my God, that's so great. Like, I really love this idea, because it's just so many people don't have that. And sometimes it turns into where I don't know where to go. I'm going to give up. Like you said, you had youth come in and it was like, I'm tired of this lifestyle. They just need somebody to be like, I got you.
Yeah.
Let me hug you. Let me show you that you got genuine love that doesn't require you to be a gangster. That doesn't require you to, have to be hard all the time,
Right.
which is
right.
another thing, especially in our minority men, our Black men. I won't even just say our Black men, but just our minority men. We don't let them be vulnerable, so they always feel like they have to be tough and prove something, and just being able
Right.
to say, hey, it's okay to let go, and I got you.
Out
Like,
of
those are
chat,
powerful statements.
Bobby Payne says, yes, kudos, because it's a gift to work with the youth. Takes a lot of patience and self-awareness to be good at it, and it makes a difference. Figured I'd read that for you, Winston, because you were squinting real hard.
Hey, man. Can't see.
You better leave Winston alone.
Can't see, man.
I got you
Leave
covered. I
Winston
got you
alone.
covered,
He was talking to
man.
Michael. Don't you start with him. Don't you
Man.
start with him.
He said, I was talking to Michael. I got you. I got you. But hey, man, whenever we go to close out these things, we try to get like at least some good, wholesome, motivation, some uplifting, jewel to go ahead and take us away, a mantra or something. One of y'all got something for the people out there. Or better yet, what would you
Both of
say to
y'all.
somebody that's wanting to work with the youth, somebody getting started? What could you tell your younger self to prepare you better for this mission?
We've talked about a whole bunch of different areas, that trauma as a child growing up that I went through personally. I would have, just take it all in. Because I felt alone as a child. I didn't want anybody else to hurt like I hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So I know there are people out there like me that have been through things and want to make a difference in somebody else's life while you're going through it, while you're going through that storm. So my biggest thing is just to, if you want to make an impact on the community, get involved, volunteer, start your own nonprofit from the things that you've gone through. If you are a single mother, if you are a young man that was raised grew up in the streets without a father, and you don't want other kids to hurt like you hurt without a father, start your own program. Write it down. Journal. That's the big thing. Journal. Write down your thoughts. Because you never know. You're feeling alone. You never know that you're actually talking to God when you're journaling. Ask him that question. To help you out to figure out what your purpose is in life, what your dreams are. Because a lot of young men and women don't know what they want to do in life. Even adults that I work with that have been on the job for 35, 40 years, don't know what they want to do after retirement. And but to make that impact in the community by just sharing what you've gone through, and have no shame in it. Just to get out there in the community and work, if it's at your church, help and serve food, just get out there and help, support somebody, talk to somebody. Somebody's always in need. Somebody's always going through something bigger than you.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I've learned over the years. We've lost a lot of family members, my dad, uncles this past year. Yeah, I wanted to quit. I was about to give up, but I kept getting calls to keep moving on, to work in the community. But just share your life. We're here to share.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing for me is don't hold it in, but journal your life. You have a story. We all have a story, and have no shame in it, because there's always somebody out there that you can help.
Man.
And just that transparency is a huge deal, because I think we talked about this last week a couple weeks ago with the mental health providers that we had on here. Like, I mean, Lionel knows our family took some huge, very, very, very huge blows, and I'm sure that a lot of people's families have gone through certain unfortunately have gone through things like this. But we literally lost the last three of them, the men in our family. His father, we had another uncle, and then my grandfather right behind. They were literally like boom, boom, boom. We didn't have a lot of time to recover from one before we had lost the other. And it was a huge impact on those that were close to them. And we are a very tight knit family, so it was a huge impact on those of us that were close to them, taking care of them, but also the whole family in its entirety. And then after we were trying to heal from that, we lost one of our cousins. So, and it just completely unexpected. And so it's I was very transparent, David, you know this, with mine. I did not realize I was in depression until I was in the depression, and sitting and talk to Lionel was he really helped me with the conversation that we had when we were in a bowling tournament, because I felt super alone in this, because I had to be strong for everybody else, and I didn't have an opportunity to grieve myself. And then when he kind of shared his situation with me, it really helped, because I was like, dang, I'm not the only one going through this. And I've always had, I think I started a vision board back in 2000, and I started learning about vision boards 2007-ish. And I've always had a vision board, and I just started journaling probably about a year or so ago. And then the meditation, I probably started about a year or so ago, because if I didn't have those things, I probably would go loony, because I need that balance. I need that time with God to talk, and I need that time to just really evaluate. And the vision board, it just helps me keep my perspective of what I want to do, But I think that everything that he said is so super important and vital, because obviously Coach Winston talked about this earlier. Your self-care is so important, but also being transparent. Transparency, David, we talked about this, is super important too, because you never know who may be, you might be out of your storm for your specific journey, but you never know who may be in the eye of that storm, and maybe walking in your footsteps, and you could, just one thing could help them, because that you've been through that storm, just to be like, hey, I know what you're going through. It's sorry, I'm going to get emotional, so I'll just be quiet. What about you, Coach?
If I had to tell my younger self, I would say keep it simple. Don't think too hard, and enjoy the journey. Time goes fast when you work with kids. You know what I mean? You look up, and 3 years in the past, 4 years in the past, 5 years in the past, and when you're doing the work, you're not noticing the time you're spending doing it, but you should enjoy it more. I think dealing in statistics, it's easy to kind of feel overworn, overworked, underappreciated, you know what I mean, undervalued, all that stuff, but don't take yourself too serious, man. Keep it simple. You know why you do it. And I think
Right.
Lionel said it the best, like, you got to know your why. I think for me, early, and I never got away from my why. Like, when it comes down to it, I know why I'm doing it and why I'm doing what I'm doing, which makes it easy for me to continue to do it. It's not dependent on the reaction of nobody else. It's not on how I feel. It's a calling. So it's easy for me to do it. And no matter how I feel, no matter how people may appreciate it or not, I know if I keep it simple and if I just remember how important having somebody with me was, and that's what I am to other people, it's easy to do the work. Because I have mentors that they probably don't realize what they've done, and they just had casual conversations, but those conversations changed my life.
Right,
so I understand, like, I have the ability to do the same thing. So, and I also know I've had conversations with people that completely turned my what I wanted to do completely away from it because of that person, because of my interaction. So I understand what that does too. So being complete and just keeping it simple, man, being present, enjoying the gym, enjoy the moment, not taking yourself too serious. As we get older, we take ourselves way too serious. We take things way too much to heart because we feel like we don't have a lot of time, but it's like, yeah, we do. We have enough.
Yeah.
And if we run out, okay, God didn't gave you what you had. But while you're here, just do what you're supposed to do. And if you can do that every day, you'll be okay. I promise you'll be okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Man, I feel like we should go ahead and open up the altar. Go ahead. Go ahead. If you don't have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ right now, we're going to open up the altar and let you know there is somebody out there that loves and cares for you.
You're supposed to start playing right now. That's your cue. Right.
For real.
I'm just saying.
Walking, no talking, no walking. That's what Pastor said.
Yeah, that right there, man, it resonates with a lot of us because a lot of times, we don't want to be all talk. We want to go ahead and walk this thing out. And to see you guys out here living this thing and putting all the action behind it and being as transparent as you have been with us, I mean, it should light a fire underneath a lot of other people. I mean, at least for me, it inspired me to want to do more. So like Tish said, man, if you ever need me for anything, videos and podcasts and music and all that stuff, or even coming out doing hamburgers and hot dogs for the kids, I could come and do that. That's no biggie. It's nothing for hamburgers and hot dogs.
We both cook though too, so if you need some, I mean, he can do the hamburgers and hot dogs after he make me this turkey leg. But I mean, anything I can help with. David and I work really well together when it comes to certain things. So he was kind of fibbing earlier talking about his kitchen because he would let me help. But I mean, maybe I'm.
But you different. You different though. It's other people that you be like, look, it's been females that been like, you ain't never cooked for me. It's a reason why I want you to leave.
Oh, I don't know nothing about that there. I don't know. That's a whole different vibe. David's like,
that's a whole other podcast. That's a whole other conversation.
Hold on, that's like on the Boondocks. She said, you don't feed them, Grandpa. You don't feed them. But no.
You got to go.
I'll be honest, man. It's like it's a lot of things I don't do for a lot of people, and I don't incorporate a lot of people just because certain things I cherish and value. So I don't share that with everybody. Like the kitchen is my sanctuary. It's where I go to go ahead and allow myself to, pour out my love and share something that I care for with other people. So, I know that that's my lane, and playing music and being around kids and joking and hee ha ha. Not at Winston's capacity. I can't be around the kids that much because I've been done. Do a couple licks at them. Like, maybe, it's like, look, man, try Jesus. Don't try me because I'll fight. I will fight. It's like I will fight.
Oh my God,
kid.
This went left. This went so left.
I'm just
look
saying,
at Lionel. He's like, what did I get myself into?
I will fight a kid. I don't care. I'll fight Mike. He be trying to run up. We try to do things.
Lord Jesus, you went left. David's labor of love. We actually shared that. Like, Like I love the kitchen. I love music. That's actually how David and I met years ago, was music.
Mhm.
Um, you know, trying to get our life together my life together vocally while he plays some instruments. We still haven't locked it in yet, but we're working on it anyway. The kitchen, but
I'm
that was
still waiting.
Lionel.
I'm
Lionel
still
will tell
waiting
you.
on you.
Hey, and I got something real good. Don't even worry about it. I
Okay,
recorded it
okay,
too on Mike's
okay.
iPad. I hope he didn't delete it.
About
When I
time.
was doing laundry, thank you. Anyway,
Okay.
Lionel would
Okay.
tell you we grew up in a family where she's my great grandmother, just his grandmother. Um, but because like I said, Lionel's father and my grandfather are brothers. But our grandma cooked. I didn't know, we didn't eat cereal. We didn't eat cold cereal. Like, we got hot meals all the time, and she was from scratch.
Mm.
So everything was, I mean, her pies, everything, and she had it down to a science.
Whoa.
And I think I must have inherited that from her, because when I tell you, like, I get in that kitchen and everything's from scratch, and I will experiment until I can't experiment no more. So if there's anything, like, ask David. I One day my husband was like, I love cheesecake, I love carrot cake. Do what you want with that information. And what I do, David showed
Man,
up at the bowling alley with what you said.
I'm just gonna say I still haven't gotten another piece of that carrot cake. And how many turkey legs have you had since then? You
Well,
had plenty of.
the first one didn't make it to me. You gave it to him at the bowling alley, and by the time I got it, it was like only a piece of a bone. So
Well,
that
that
doesn't
ain't my
count.
fault. That
But
sounds like
anyway,
bad home training to me. But
Winston, Coach, I cook, I bake, we do music, so we can do a band show, whatever you want to do, we could do it. Cover band, and then of course Lionel, whatever
Yeah,
you need, and I can
yeah, I'll
help
be
you
hitting
with.
you up soon.
We've been talking about stuff that I could try
Yeah.
to help out with in whatever way. But I definitely want to expand my reach too and get out and help more. I'm passionate about the veterans, but when it comes to the youth, like you said, Coach Winston, I'm just like, okay, do I feel like dealing with these kids giving me a headache? But for real, they need people that have walked in their shoes to be able to tell them, hey, yo, try to make a different decision and really think this through, or how are you handling this and that type of situation. Because when I was growing up, I had men in my life. Had I not had the men that I had in my life, I probably would have went down a whole different road.
Mhm.
So I appreciate all of them because they were so ever present in helping mold who I am, and I appreciate it. Even though I didn't get it till later in life, but that's okay. I still got it.
at least you got it. That's all that matters.
I
You
got
got
it.
it.
For
I
real.
got it.
You understand. You comprehended it. Cool.
Yeah, I got it.
Cool.
I
Man,
really appreciate you guys. Here
man.
I
goes. Bobby
appreciate you.
almost
So
got the
good.
rose.
Platform. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, and if you
I,
guys could do
I'm
me a favor and send David your information so I can make sure that I create some type of flyer or something to post onto our social media platforms to make sure that people know how to get a hold of y'all if they need to or want to, and not just have to go through these chats to find the information.
right.
And so we can promote you too. And if you guys are doing events, definitely share it with us so we can share with our platforms. I know that we get like, a couple solid people on here, but I do have like 50,000 followers on my platform. So I try to share whatever I can as far as, supporting and making sure that, if your info gets out there, because with the 50,000 followers, I do have followers in California and all over the place that would be, who knows, they might be like, hey, he's right down the street, or his youth program is part of, and they might want to be more inclined to help or whatever. Just, you know how people are. So
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
make sure you guys send us your info, and then Coach Winston, let us know what we could do to help.
I will.
If you
Appreciate y'all.
don't want David, you could just ask me. I'll come. No, I'm just kidding. David ain't throwing no hot dogs around. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, I good.
Oh.
For
I
real.
know I need a turkey leg. That's all I want. I don't care about nothing else.
All right, man.
All right, thank you guys so
Man.
much for getting on. We tune in with us every Tuesday, 7 p.m. with Dearest Ben I Am and Tish Kanani. We talk about all kinds of weird things.
All
And sometimes
kinds
it
of weird
means a
things.
lot. Sometimes it means a lot. So we appreciate you guys tuning in with us tonight. I will load all of their information onto our websites. And all right, then y'all, we'll holler at you.
Right.